to start the recording. Super. So hi again, if you've just popped on, my name is Catherine Solomon and I'm going to be the e-moderator for today's webinar. I'm absolutely delighted to introduce our speaker Sheila, who will be introducing the Foundation's brand new series of self-study training modules for early career teachers and early career mentors, which are designed to support ECTs to learn and apply distinct multilingual approaches that promote learning and opportunities for all learners who use English as an additional language. Sheila has been with the Foundation since 2020. She holds an MA in TESOL plus qualifications in primary education and EAL teaching. She's worked as an EAL specialist in schools and as an EAL tutor in initial teacher training programs and TESOL courses at university level in the United States. Her EAL work at the Bell Foundation focuses on teacher education. She's been the primary developer of the ECT materials that we're sharing today, and we're really, really proud of them. She's done an absolutely fantastic job on them, and I'm so pleased that she's here to talk about them and introduce them to you today. So I'm going to pass over to you, Sheila. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Catherine. Really happy to be here today. Really excited about this opportunity that the Bell Foundation has come up with for the ECT EAL series. So we're excited to be bringing that to you today and to launching it today. Just before I start, though, we'll go back to the survey that you just took the poll, and it looks like there's quite a few, 30% of you early career teachers, which is great. And then there's quite a few other, which I'm really interested to kind of know who those others are. But I'm happy to have everybody here today. So I don't know, Disha, if we want to end that poll now. It's on the screen, but that will be great. So thank you very much for doing that for us. And again, a warm welcome. So let's get on with the webinar. Today, we will be covering 4 different areas in this session. We will be looking at why the Bell Foundation determined to create the ECT and EAL series in the first place. We will also be looking at how you can use the ECT EAL series to particularly meet your specific needs, how best to use it. We will also take a peek into some of the content and materials that you will find. And then, of course, to end the webinar today, we will be sharing with you where and how to access the series itself. Okay, so let's start with why we decided to create this series for ECT. And one of the reasons was that from a recent January 2023 school census, it was reported that 20.2% of pupils in schools in England, identify as using English as an additional language. Okay, and this is up from 2022, where the figure was 19.5%. And this reflects kind of an ongoing trend of increasing multilingualism in our schools in England for the past couple decades, really. Okay, so the fact is that from the figures in this particular year, we can see that over 1 in 5 pupils, just over 1 in 5 pupils now in our schools in England are multilingual learners who use EAL. Okay. Looking at those figures in a little bit more depth, we can see that in nursery, we have 30.4% of learners are multilingual using EAL. Primary schools, there's 22%. Secondary, 18.1% of students use EAL. And then in special schools and in alternative schools, we see 14 and 8% respectively there. So when we consider how learners in nurseries will be filtering through the school system in the years ahead, we can see how multilingual environments in our schools will continue to increase as well. Okay, this means that early career teachers are most likely working in multilingual settings or will be doing so at some point in their career. Okay. And yet we also know from a recent report from the Department for Education that early career teachers feel least prepared to work in classroom environments of multilingual classrooms compared to all other training areas that they received in ITT, which is a really concerning figure, as we know that over 1 in 5 pupils are multilingual learners. Okay. Undoubtedly, we know that ITT programs can never fully prepare teachers or trainees for all the various responsibilities and the realities that they will find in UK classrooms. But partly because of this, the Department for Education in 2021 established a more consistent and statutory induction process for all early career teachers throughout England, right? And so many of you will be very aware of this program, especially those of you who are early career teachers out there. It is a funded program that provides early career teachers with an on-site mentor and self-study materials to continue learning for the first 2 years of the early career process. So with that, the induction program was also based on what is the early career framework. Okay, and this was developed at the same time as the induction process. It's comprised of 8 different areas that are similar to the 8 teacher standards. But unfortunately, as we were looking through this, there was absolutely no mention of EAL in the early career framework at all. So that is also a very concerning fact for us as well. We also know from the larger population of teachers, which will include a lot of those teacher mentors out there, that they report that working in multilingual environments is one of their top 3 areas of need in professional development. So in fact, many of the mentors that are working with our early career teachers may not yet have had that opportunity for EAL training or experience themselves. So really coupling these 2 factors here, we see that there's really still a potential for not having our early career teachers receive the EAL training that would really benefit them as they work in multilingual settings. So because of all of this, the Bell Foundation did determine that we would create the ECT and EAL series itself that is specifically aimed to work with both early career teachers as well as mentors to help them work with our learners who are multilingual. And so this series is freely open and available to anyone online as of today. And of course, we will be providing you with all the information on how to access that at the very end of the webinar. Okay. So let's move on move on to talking about how we did the design process of the series itself. And in determining that, we drew upon some feedback that early career teachers provided to the Department for Education in terms of evaluating their induction program since 2021. And so in that feedback, we found that there were 94% of early career teachers felt that their relationship with their mentor was good to very good. So knowing how important that relationship is, we really created a series here that fosters and provides space for the mentor to be a critical piece of this process. So it's not just a self-study for early career teachers, but it is something that also includes mentors. Okay. We also found that 64% of early career teachers reported that the content in their mentorship program was kind of a repeat of some of the content in their initial teacher training program. With the overall lack of EAL training in ITT, we're pretty confident that the material that they'll find, that EAL material in this series, will be new for a lot of early career teachers. However, there is other materials that go deeper and further in depth with some material for others to engage in if they have already received this training in ITT as well. 56% of early career teachers thought that their program did not respond to their immediate needs or their skill level or their context of their school. So that was another area that we took into factor into our creation of the series, and have tried to really create a very highly flexible series where ECTs and mentors can choose to engage with only those materials that they find are going to be relevant to their setting. Okay, so a highly flexible design with this as well. And then finally, we discovered that 45% of early career teachers found that it was difficult to spend time on the induction program alongside their workload. And so this was, of course, a critical aspect that we looked at as well in our design, and have come up with some very high impact training, but within very short segments to help with this. And so this is something that we will be explaining and showing how this could possibly work, but it is something that we know that the material that we are offering here might be supplementary to the mentorship program material that is already being used in schools. So it is something too that we just wanted to choose those topics that are very going to have the most impact. And so that's how we have designed the series. So let's move now, if we can, after looking at why it's so important to have created this, a little bit more into how to use the series to meet your specific needs. We will start by introducing the 9 modules. There are 9 modules in the ECT and EAL series. And each module has 2 brief but very high impact EAL topics in them. So for example, in the first module, which is the introduction to EAL, we can see that the 2 topics there are somewhat to the definitions and contexts of EAL, and also some of the policies and school provision are the 2 topics. So the remaining 8 modules, though, are aligned with the 8 standards in the early career framework. However, yet in this series, we are really specifically focusing on the distinct EAL knowledge and approaches that are connected to these standards, and which early career teachers will need as they teach in multilingual environments. So for example, okay, we'll look at one of the, we see here how module 2 in this series aligns with standard 2 in the early career framework on how pupils learn, okay? Yet in the series, we look specifically at pupils who use EAL, and we will also be looking at multilingual pedagogy to support their learning, okay? Likewise, in standard 6 in the early career framework, it's all about assessment. However, in the series, ourselves in module 6, we are looking specifically at the importance and the reasons for assessing English language proficiency, okay? And we will also look at how to assess curriculum knowledge, especially for the learners who may not yet be able to demonstrate their understanding of the content in English, but may very well be able to do so in another language. Right? So that is something that we will look at, specifically those aspects of EAL that resonate with each of those standards. Okay. It is also up to the early career teacher and the mentor to determine how they want to work through the series. These series can be worked through chronologically and synced with other early career teacher mentoring materials that you may already be using. And in this ways, the modules can supplement the early career framework standards addressed during that first year of the mentorship program, okay? Or if you would prefer, they can be used as part of that second year of the induction process, where early career teachers are going more deeply into some of these standards, and they might want to visit some of these modules at that time as they're exploring some of those standards further, okay? Alternatively, the early career teachers and mentors may decide to just dip into modules when they are needed. Okay, so here you might want to go directly to module 7 if the early career teacher has a new arrival in their classroom who is new to English, right? And you just want to learn about that specific topic because it's timely and you need that information right away. okay? Or likewise, the early career teacher mentor may feel like the teacher could really benefit from learning a little bit more about how to make their language and lessons more comprehensible. And so they look at Module 4 and go specifically to the topic on comprehensible English. Okay, so again, it's really up to the mentor and early career teacher to determine how they want to use these particular materials. Okay, in trying to determine how your approach to this, we've thought that there's some considerations you might want to take into account. First, it's important to think about the initial teacher training that the early career teachers have received. Some early career teachers, this might be completely new information, and they could benefit from everything that is here in the series. Others might just need to fill in gaps. And so that is something too that the mentor, we really encourage the mentor and the early career teacher to have a conversation on this to determine what is best for them in terms of how to approach working through the materials. Okay. The other thing you might want to consider is, I said before, the school and the classroom context. If you have a particular need right away, that to be able to go directly to that particular topic. You might also want to look at your actual mentorship program materials and see what type of EAL training is included in those. Some might have that already and others might not, depending upon the mentorship program materials that each of the schools are using. Okay, and then also you might want to consider some of the professional development that the school might be offering as a whole. I mean, if you're doing a school-wide training on EAL, then you might want to not have to repeat any training for teachers as well. So some considerations as you think about how to best use the series for your particular context. Okay. So now that we've looked at that, we kind of want to maybe have a peek inside to see what some of the modules might look like and give you a sense of what you might be able to learn from the series itself. So again, we have the nine modules that are included. And each of these, well, the 9 modules can be divided up into really 3 different areas of content, okay? The first 3 modules concern mainly the multilingual learner. And as we saw earlier, the introduction module has a lot to do with the definitions and context of EAL itself. And then as we go into module 1, which is aligned with standard 1 of high expectations, we will really here start to consider teachers' attitudes and beliefs around multilingualism and highlight the importance of appropriate support and challenge for our learners. And then in module 2, again, which aligns to standard 2 on how pupils learn, we will be looking specifically at more of the heterogeneity of this group of pupils and some of the unique pupil profiles that will be coming, that you will want to develop, as well as some of how multilingualism is an aspect of identity of your learners, as well as a real resource for learning in the classroom as well. So we will look at all of those things in the first 3. In modules 3 through 5, these has to do more with language development and instructional supports that teachers can use as they develop language through their curriculum. Okay, so in module 3, which aligns with subject knowledge, we really look here at some main principles which are important to understand for how additional languages are learned in the classroom. Okay, we will also look at how language works and how teachers can really utilize the language, all the linguistic resources that a child brings to the classroom, and how they can build upon that to really develop more of that school-based language that our learners will need to be successful in the classroom as well. Going into module 4 here, this is classroom practice, and we will be looking at how we can make our language and lessons more comprehensible to learners who may be newer to English, and also how to make our lessons and instruction more language focused. Okay, how can we identify some of that language that we will need to support and to highlight and to model so that our learners have access to the curriculum itself. And then finally, in module 5 here, which is adaptive teaching, we will look at specific EAL strategies to use in the classroom. And these will be strategies that are different based on the proficiency level of your learners. So like if you are working with learners who are brand new to English, your strategies will look a bit different than if those learners are more developing competence and are really starting to need to develop some more of that nuanced language of school-based language as well, okay? And I am going to just pause here for a minute to also announce just another launch that we are doing of the updated classroom guidance and support strategies, which is another thing that we're very excited to provide at the beginning of this school year. And that is going to be launched on September 28th, another webinar, but that provides lots of strategies that are connected to different proficiency levels of English language, as well as being categorized in terms of listening, speaking, reading and viewing, and writing. So it is also offered in this module, but just a heads up on that as well. So it's a wonderful document. Okay, so now looking at modules 6 through 9, again, here we know that module 6 is all about this, is more to do with school-wide approaches. And module 6 has to do with assessment and language proficiency, English language proficiency assessment, which is really done on more of a school-wide approach, but something that early career teachers will need to understand and to see how they can use that you know, to come up with appropriate strategy or support strategies, as well as language targets and that type of thing, as also assessing for curriculum knowledge. Module 7 is really aligned to Standard 7 on managing behavior. And here then we look at explore how we can welcome families and learners who may be new to English so that they may know the routines and some of the expectations and have that sense of security as they enter into our schools. And we also talk here about modifying language. How can we modify our language to get the key messages, to communicate key messages, instructions, again, content, expectation, that type of thing, not only for learners, but also for family communication as well, okay? And then in our final module, which is has to do with professional behavior aligned to that standard, we will talk a lot about working with colleagues and how early career teachers can best utilize, say, for instance, working with TAs, your teaching assistants, how can you best utilize them to support learners using EAL, maybe how you can work with SEND and some of the distinctions between SEND and EAL, that type of thing as well. And then finally, we will have a topic on continued professional learning options and resources for early career teachers to continue developing their understanding and skills within working in multilingual environments and EAL as well. Okay, so that's the content of them. When you go inside one of these modules, this is what you will see. You will see 2 folders here that will contain all the materials you will need for that. One is for the teacher resources and one has mentor resources. And then you will also find 3 very simple steps of how to use this. This is the same in every single module, so it's very, very straightforward. You basically download some of the resources that we have for you. You watch the presentation videos, and then again, you engage in suggested questions or tasks that we provide if that is something that you choose to do. Okay, so going inside the folders now, you will first find two very short video presentations on the topic itself. Again, you will see there's two topics. Each of these are really about 5 to 8 minutes in length on average here. So short videos, key messages that you will want to know about. The videos speak directly to early career teachers, but we also make these available to mentors for their own learning, or if they want to see what their early career teachers are actually viewing themselves. Okay, so those are available to both. The slides in each of these videos are color-coded for different purposes. So the blue slides are those information slides. And so these, for example, here you might see an example considering a learner's home language and literacy practices as they relate to factors of attainment here, or another slide on assessing English language proficiency, what a learner is able or expected to be able to do at different levels of English language proficiency. The orange tasks are task slides, really, and these have participants really work with some tasks, either looking at a video of a teacher demonstrating a particular strategy, or modifying some instructions to make the language more comprehensible for learners using EAL. So it's that type of task-based slide. And then the green slides provide feedback on those particular tasks. So here you see feedback on what were some of the elements of what the teacher did as she was demonstrating the actual strategy, or some suggestions for how we would modify that language. Okay, so they are categorized in those particular functions. Okay, and then the other piece of that you will find in the folder, it contains a resource for the teachers that offers suggested questions, right, and suggested tasks. These, again, can be determined by the teacher and mentor in terms of what they might want to engage with. And we also provide further reading or resources here. So they're not always readings. They can be, other tools or that type of thing that you can find that would be very useful for you as well. So suggested questions will typically have early career teachers think first about their current practice. What are they currently doing in the classroom as it relates to the topic that we just learned about in those presentations? So reflecting on your current practice, but then also thinking of how maybe you could improve or change what you are doing based on what we have just been learning about as well. Okay, and most of the suggested questions have a very general question that talks about some of your key learning that you took away from engaging with the module. And this is something that could be used, because I know a lot of teachers use a reflective journal as they go through the mentorship program. So this is something that you could add to that as well. Okay. For the suggested tasks, these are really implementation tasks. And so here you see that we are asking people to practice using a particular strategy, or to try to identify a particular, maybe a language demand in their curriculum, or to, to engage or provide a language support, something like that within the tasks. Oftentimes there will be an additional tool or something to help teachers with actually implementing some of these things as well. Okay, and then the readings are also divided up between the two different topics in each of those resources. Okay, in the mentor folder, however, the mentors will receive the exact same questions and tasks as their early career teacher has. And yet they will also have some guidance then in terms of how to possibly respond to some of the questions, or how to facilitate the discussion further by asking additional questions or additional information, that type of thing. And again, with the tasks, it provides guidance in how to perhaps provide feedback for what your early career teacher has done within those different tasks as well. And of course, also you will receive the same type of resources and additional tools. Okay. So to let you know, those additional resources, as I said, were not just additional resources for readings and that type of thing, but they will provide examples here, links to further strategies. This again is an example of the Great Ideas pages on the Bell Foundation that goes into even further details about how to use some of these strategies in a bit more detail and depth and that type of thing. You will also perhaps have links to different teaching resources or curriculum resources that provide teachers with ways to supplement their curriculum for learners at different levels of English proficiency. So these are often connected to one of the Great Ideas strategies, but also is something that teachers can search for in terms of what content topic they're looking for and that type of thing as well, what year level and all. We also will provide links to other professional organizations out there that are wonderful organizations that have a lot of support and information that would really be helpful in working in multilingual environments. And of course, also a lot of additional readings and books and articles and that type of thing as well. Okay, so in this way, we can really see how teachers can use also now the materials, not just the modules, but the materials themselves in very flexible ways that suit their needs. Some of you might honestly like to just look at a video for 5 to 10 minutes. You want some key information, and that's all you have time for, right? So you race to the video and you just watch that and get some of that information. Others might really want to use this alongside the mentorship program and work with their mentor in terms of some of these suggested questions and tasks and really try some of this material out, implement what you are learning, which is something that we highly recommend. With some of the ideas on there are really helpful, I think, in terms of how to really think about your teaching, think about your learners and your practice, and then ways that you can try them out as you enter into the field as well. And others of you might want to even go further, right? And look at some of these additional links and resources that you can go deeper into the materials with. So again, it's completely up to you as how you use this type of the series itself. Okay, so finally, with all of that, we are going to tell you now where and how to access this. We are right now, as we speak, the series can be found on the Bell Foundation website. It is available and open for all of you to access, which is what we're very excited about for today. So you can go directly to the website. There's also here a specific link to the Early Career Teacher page. The Bell Foundation, it works in a lot of different areas. We have an international strand. We work with adult ESOL programs. We also do criminal justice. But when you go in to find the ECT page, it's under the EAL program that we work with all schools. Then you go into training, and then you will find the Early Career Teacher page from that area. Okay. Once you click on the Early Career Teacher training page, you will see a place to enroll at the very bottom of that page. And so that links to how you actually can enroll into the series itself. Okay. When you click on that link, what you will find, and this is something that we're just ourselves doing today, actually, for the first time, we've been looking at this. You will need to first actually create an account in Moodle, which is the platform that we use to deliver the series itself. Okay, so very simple kind of instructions for how to create that account, which you can see here. If you are someone who has taken courses from the Bell Foundation with us before and have already been on our Moodle courses, you will not need to create an additional account. You can just go into Moodle and you will see the ECT course there. However, just to be aware, because we are changing up how people can access into Moodle today, you will need to first update your profile. Okay, so these are for people that have already taken courses with us. If you can just update that, you will see it right there, and it's the way that we can collect the information that we need. And once you update it, then you can see the courses that you have options for. Okay. But if you're new to Moodle, you will fill this out. You will get an email saying to just verify that that is something that you are wanting to do. When you click on that to verify it, you will have immediate access to the course. Okay. If I can pause again right now, because we have been noticing that this process works wonderfully well, except if you are entering in a Gmail account as you are registering for Moodle to create a Moodle account. For some reason, it's not accepting the Gmail accounts. So we're suggesting and recommending that you use a different type of account if you can for email to access this. If you can only use Gmail, go ahead and register and then email us, and we can help you through the rest of the process. But for some reason, and we're still working on it, but hopefully it won't take too much more time. But once you do that, then you will go in and you'll be on Moodle and you will see the course that you can enroll in. So again, the Early Career Teachers is what you want to choose. You can see the link to just enroll. It's a enroll me. Again, it will be a simple little process of name and email and that type of thing. You'll get another email verification that you can click on, and then you are in the course, and this is where you will end up. So hopefully it's a very simple, straightforward process to get in there, but it's something that we wanted it to be very much available and open to anyone on our website. And so that is exactly how you will do it and how you will enroll. And we're really looking forward to and hoping to see all of you there with us. Again, it's something that we're very excited to be able to provide this to early career teachers at this time. So at this point, in closing today, we are going to be moving into the question and answer phase, but I do want to just say thank you again for all of you to have joined us today. I know it's a very busy time. We are extremely excited to have early career teachers with us. So many of you, we say congratulations to you on starting up a new career of teaching, and we hope that this really does help build your confidence with working in multilingual environments and your joy in working with multilingual learners as well. So if you need to leave us at this point, feel free, and we will see you online. But if not, we will continue on to the questions and answers at this point. So I will bring Catherine. Catherine will come back in here, and we can have a bit more time for questions.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Sheila. That was all really informative. And from the chat that I've been looking at so far, it seems it's going to be quite well received as well. People are quite excited about it. So yeah, really, really great to hear and see all of that. I know somebody was asking if I can share the link in the chat. I have put that there. It is in the chat now. It's also available via our website. So if you go onto the website, you will find an ECT page specifically giving a summary of all the things that Sheila has been talking about today. And you can also find the link to register there. And I've just popped the page to the website there in the chat as well. So yeah, please do go ahead and take a look at those. In terms of questions, I have got a couple of them for you, Sheila, and hopefully these are okay. So are the modules only suitable to use for early career teachers? Was one question we received.
Yes. That is a good question. And I have, we were thinking of that. I mean, the content of the modules are, that information would apply to lots of teachers, really. However, the modules are made directly, or the audience is intended to be early career teachers. So when you will see those, the videos that we do, the presentations, the suggested questions, the audience for those are early career teachers, and we will be referring to them specifically as we present and have them engage with those materials. So I guess, yes, I mean, it is geared toward early career teachers. They are the audience, but of course the information and the content is applicable to all teachers, but not to just something to take and have everybody to look at. It would be more specific for early career teachers. Mm-hmm.
And I guess a related question to that is, if it is okay to use them more broadly, do you have any ideas how they might be used usefully, perhaps within a school? This came from an EAL coordinator, so I guess kind of thinking from a kind of CPD professional learning opportunity within a school more broadly.
Yes, it's funny. We at the Bell Foundation have actually talked about that a little bit as well, because once you make something like this available freely for that, it is something that I could see how EAL coordinators could really use something similar, because they are tasked oftentimes with providing some professional development within their schools, and they typically have maybe 15 or 20 minutes. That's kind of the length of time they have as well to do theirs. I could say, this material would not be appropriate to provide to the entire school. It would not be. However, some of the questions, some of the tasks, if you do look through some of those, that might be something that you would want to see if other people in the school, you would just have to reframe it, so that there might be a lot of the staff in the schools might want to engage in some of those tasks, or as an EAL coordinator, you might want them to consider some of those questions. And of course, the material and the information in the presentations themselves is something that could easily be recreated or used by EAL coordinators to provide that information to a whole school, like, in service day type of thing, in set day. So unfortunately, it's not something you can just pick up and use, but there's a lot of material in there that could guide you in terms of how you could possibly do that.
Yeah,
as well.
I would agree. Having looked at them, I think they could be really useful. But obviously, just bearing in mind that they have been written with ECTs and ECT mentors in mind, so they've been framed for, really. But yeah, I could see how they would be really useful for a number of different audiences. A couple of questions, Sheila, that I can probably answer. Somebody has said, we work in a teaching school hub. Are you happy for me to share this information with our ECTs and our mentors? Yes, absolutely. If you do know people within your networks that would find these useful, as we said, they are freely available for anybody to register. We're making them open and we're putting them out there in the world. So if you feel they would be useful, please do. Yeah, we absolutely want them to be used. And just to bear in mind that we will be getting feedback on these as we go. We will be asking for people's feedback. So really, really pleased and interested to hear what people say about them, and how useful they are, or, things that we could tweak going forward. So, I mean, this is quite a new way of sharing resources for the foundation, essentially making things, fully open. So, yes. Yeah, we're really keen to kind of see how they're going to be received and what you think of them, really. A couple of people have been asking about the webinar on the 28th about the support strategies, and so one question was whether they're going to be based on this new series. No, it's a separate piece of work. They are connected, but it is a totally separate piece of work. So our classroom support strategies are actually an existing resource that we've been updating and we've renewed, and they're very closely connected to our EAL assessment framework, and we are going to be relaunching those on the 28th of September. Now, I know that webinar was saying that it was sold out. I'm hoping that I released some extra tickets today. So if you tried registering previously and weren't able to get on, have another go, because I released some extra tickets. So I'm hoping that you should be able to get onto it if you hadn't previously. I think given the interest in that particular one, we may consider rerunning it for people who weren't able to get on. We'll see what the level of interest is. So, but I'm pleased to see that people are interested. I think there was another question around whether you can use in international schools, whether it would be suitable for international schools. I think the same as Sheila mentioned, they've been written with early career teachers in mind. We've based that obviously on kind of the UK situation, the England situation with regards to the early career framework. However, I can see that there will be applicability to many different settings. So yeah, they're out there in the world. Please feel free to go and have a look and access them. But bear in mind, they have been written with early career teachers in mind, based in England. I don't know that there is anything else. Let me just quickly check. I think that's pretty much everything. Sheila, is there anything else that you wanted to mention in relation to the materials, or anything else that you'd like to say?
No, other than, they really were developed to really be flexible, as you have heard in the webinar. So I think probably the best thing to do, and because they're not so huge, is to just go in there and check them out. I mean, if anybody asking those particular questions, feel free to go in, see the materials, look at some of the suggested tasks, the questions, and also the additional resources that you will find there as well, because there's a lot of information in there, and it will be probably up to you, or be the best ones to answer some of these questions in regards to whether you can use this in the settings that you are hoping to use it in. So yeah, go ahead and explore what we have to offer, and hopefully it will be helpful to you in whatever ways you can use it. Mm-hmm.
Just one couple of questions that people have been coming through with. Sorry to interrupt, Sheila. Somebody was asking about the trainee teachers, so initial teacher education. So we also have some modules that we've made available for initial teacher educators, so teacher training providers, that is also available via our website. So on our website, you will see there's a page around initial teacher education and one around early career teachers. They are two separate things. So there are modules available for initial teacher educators as well, and these are modules that they can use in their settings to work with their trainee teachers, but different from the self-study materials that Sheila has been talking about today. But again, please check out the website. You'll find more information on both those areas on the website. So I'm going to bring it to a close there, but just to say thank you so much, Sheila, again for such a clear and informative presentation, and thank you so much everybody for joining us today. Really appreciate you taking the time to join us. Before I close the webinar, I just want to remind you that you will get an email from us tomorrow with a link to the recording of the webinar, and also a survey. We'll also share the link, so you'll have the link to the modules as well there, although I've put it in the chat a couple of times today. So just one thing from me in terms of things that are coming up. Some of you may be aware that we are doing some research with refugee education UK, looking at what is happening across the UK with regards to education provision for learners who arrive late into the education system. So we're thinking particularly from year 9 onwards. And we are really keen to hear from anybody who has any experience with working in this type of provision. If you would be able to go and complete the survey that RE UK have put out, we're really keen to hear from anybody. So I've just popped that in the chat as well. I'd be really grateful if you can share that with your networks, pass it on to anybody you think would be able to contribute to that. That would be much appreciated. But apart from that, I think that's everything for today. So thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.